Comic Book Savant, Binge at Your Leisure, TV Talk. Welcome back to the Comic Book Savant. I'm your host, James Harris. Happy New Year. This episode, we're going to be doing a TV Talk episode going over episodes 1 and 2 of the Disney Plus Marvel's WandaVision TV show. This has been a highly anticipated show. Wasn't quite the show we thought we were going to get first out of the gate from the Disney Plus shows. We originally thought that Falcon and the Winter Soldier was going to be the first show. COVID, everything changed. So we ended up getting WandaVision out the gates first, which I'm not particularly mad about. These are two of my favorite characters of the MCU. So I was clamoring to see more. I have to say, from the initial promo of the show, it just looked really strange and weird. I didn't know how into it I was going to be, but I have to say, all things considered, I've been pleasantly surprised by the first two episodes. But here's just kind of my thoughts going over the first two episodes. Luckily enough, Disney gave us the first two episodes together. I think right before the show was released, they gave us some details that I think is going to be 9 episodes with a basic running time around 30 to 40 minutes or so per episode. But what I've been seeing with the practical running time, it runs about 25 to 30 minutes. The rest of the time, as far as the runtime, is with end credits and all that kind of stuff that extends out or pads out that to make it look a little bit longer. But most episodes end at about 25 to 27 minute mark, which I didn't know if that was good or bad, but I'm just taking the content as it comes, and it hasn't bothered me so far. As I'm recording this review, it's been 3 episodes dropped. I'm going to talk about the first 2 because that's how they were released, and I'll do another episode where I'll talk about episode 3 for you guys. So you'll be hearing that shortly. So, what our main cast is that we have Elizabeth Olsen reprising her role as Wanda Maximoff. We have Paul Bettany back as the Vision. We have Catherine Hahn as Agnes, and we have Tiona Paris as Monica Rambeau, which we were introduced to her younger self in Captain Marvel. So it's really good to see her character now aged up in the show. Kind of some of the notes that I have just off these first 2 episodes is that it's a really unique concept and premise that the show's built around, them being kind of we're not quite sure because it's a mystery around it, that they're in this kind of altered state or reality where they're kind of in this sitcom world based on some of the most historical American sitcoms in history. In the first episode, it's really based off the Dick Van Dyke Show. The second episode that we got is based kind of around Bewitched or Dream of Jeannie kind of framing, and from the sets they put you in mind of those sitcoms. So I feel like, that being said, like I said, it was something that made me skeptical at the beginning when I saw the trailers for the show and I saw the promotional materials for the show. But as the show actually got underway, for me, because I grew up, I'm a kid, I was born in 75, so those kind of sitcoms, not so much the Dick Van Dyke Show, but Bewitched, especially I Dream of Jeannie, those kind of shows, Leave It to Beaver. I saw those shows in my childhood. They were in syndication very heavily, just like, for some younger people, they constantly see like Friends or The Office or Seinfeld in syndication. Those were the shows from my childhood that were heavily in syndication. So it ended up hitting, it ended up drawing me in, and it was something that me and my Spinner Rack Bro co-host dubbed kind of comfort food entertainment, which is, I think, something we all need right now in lieu of the state of the world. So it took me back to that early part of my childhood when I used to watch these old style, sitcoms and syndication constantly. So it had a my initial thoughts and my actual perception once I got the episodes have changed dramatically because I thought it was something that would be a detractor or a negative for me personally. Ended up not being so much in actual the execution in it rolling out and me watching the episodes. Um, I feel like this show is definitely going to be a slow burn because within these first two episodes that we got so far, WandaVision, they actually literally played out like episodes of those shows that they're kind of based off of. Because I'm not going to say they're spoofing them at all. They're paying homage in their own way to those shows. So they literally feel like episodes of what you would watch of those shows at that time or that I grew up on. Like it's just like a regular episode of those shows. Um, and I just enjoyed them for what they were. But I feel like in the overarching story, because at the end of the day, this ties into the MCU, which we've built up over 24 movies now, and we're taking characters from the movie, putting them on a smaller screen on a streaming service that's going to connect to this larger tapestry. And this is really kicking off what is phase 4 for the MCU. Feige laid all this stuff out with all these shows that are coming out, and how these characters are going to go from the small screen back to the big screen, some debuting in the small screen going to the big screen and vice versa. So it's really interesting to see how it plays out, but we know it's a bigger end goal to this series before the 9 episodes play out, that it ties in. But I definitely feel like it's going to be a slow burn that I feel like it'll be worth it, worth the payoff when everything is said and done. I feel like the actors have done a wonderful job, and they're outstanding in fully embracing what they're doing to such a unique premise. This is not your typical show, and I've always liked Elizabeth Olsen as Wanda. I know when the movies came out, some people gave her, flack. A lot of people didn't like her in the role. I always just something about her just clicked for me, in that role, and I just liked how her character slowly developed over time, and even seeing she seems so much in her skin as this character now. It takes other people time. And like Chris Evans was just born to play Captain America. Robert Downey Jr. was just born to play Tony Stark. Like those were given. Rest in peace to Chadwick Boseman. He was meant to play T'Challa. Those were just out of the park castings. Whereas it took her some time, but she's found her footing. Even with Scarlett Johansson, I felt like she had some growth into the character, but I felt like they didn't give her much to work with. And once they did, she was already an outstanding actress, so she took the ball and ran with it. But it's taken her some time, and she's found her footing, and she's so much Wanda to me now. I've always had an affinity for the character, going back from Avengers West Coast or West Coast Avengers. They had both titles. Her and Vision from the mid 80s and those classic stories and the maxi series and all that stuff. I loved that as a kid growing up. That was like pinnacle, top of the stack reading for me. So it's good seeing these two characters getting their deserved spotlight, that they were like side story, side characters in the larger tapestry of the MCU before this point. So it's good to see them get their spotlight here. And the actors doing such a good job, which what would be considered to some maybe a wacky premise surrounding it. And I also like, in everything, we get the comedy, we get the slapstick comedy, because it's like the multi-camera or single camera, or at this point single camera, like kind of sitcom vibe. And these first 2 episodes are in black and white, or till the very end of the second episode we get the transition into color. That is you start getting slow hints, not so much in the first episode, but it starts shedding light in the second episode, that we start getting reveals that is something more sinister, something more amiss in this world of Westville, that is more going on than what meets the eye that lies beneath. And it gave me Hitchcock vibes, which was also, he was a world-renowned filmmaker of this kind of era that they're portraying, like in these first two episodes, because they jump decades in eras in sitcom history. So like I feel like the first episode is Dick Van Dyke, which is somewhere around the 50s. Then you go to Bewitched, I Dream of Jeannie, which is like the 60s, 70s or so. So he, Hitchcock was 50s, 60s, even into the 70s, even if I'm not mistaken. So it had that suspense thriller vibe when those kind of things start peeling back, getting revealed. And I hope they can keep that level of suspense up and expand it as more episodes of the show comes out. That you keep getting that build up, and it's that paid off to that when the shoe finally drops. It's like a jaw dropping kind of moment. I hope they continue to build on that within the 7 more episodes we have of the show. We do know going forward, this was just the initial drop of the first 2 episodes. Going forward, we'll get a new episode each week. So we had a new episode drop this week and 1 episode so forth, which I think it ending around March. I think the finale is like March 5th, I think they've said. So we still have a good ways to go, and I'm very interested to see where it goes. I would love to know what you guys think. So if you're not a part of the Comic Book Savant Facebook group, definitely join that. I'll have the links included in the description for the episode. I also broke this down, and I kind of used a rating scale for the episode because I'll be giving ratings to the episodes. I gave these 2 episodes, since they were presented as one, I graded them as 1. And I used the same rating scale that I use for like the movies when I break down acting, casting, direction, special effects, and story. I gave the acting a 10 out of 10, casting 10 out of 10, direction 10 out of 10, special effects 10 out of 10, and the story I gave an 8 out of 10 because, like I said, we didn't get much story. We got entertaining episodes, but we didn't get much overarching story right now. We start getting the hints of it, so that was the only place I could really knock this fun, quirky take. And I like that Feige is going all in and just doing different things. Like we saw it, very slowly with, Winter Soldier being a 70s like espionage spy thriller, and Ant-Man being a heist movie. Now we're getting this, so he's really going for it. He's a proven commodity, but he's taking some risk. We're going to see risk with Phase 4, and I'm all for it, especially if the content is going to be quality. Because we wondered, I know me personally, what would be the quality of these Disney Plus shows, and so far so good. It doesn't look like they're skimping their looking movie quality, which I'm all for it, and I hope it continues. So the overall score I gave for these first 2 episodes is 9.7 out of 10, which is must watch range for me. So if you haven't tried it, I hope I haven't spoiled it for you by anything I said. I try not to go too much into spoilers. That if you haven't watched it, it's definitely worth checking out. It's something unique and different that we haven't quite seen from the comic book genre of television or movies at this point. And I think they Marvel has another hit on their hands. I just hope they can stick the landing with it all. But that's all I have for you guys for this episode. Like I said, the next episode of Binge at Your Leisure, we'll be going over WandaVision episode 3, and I'll be trying to get these out weekly. So right after the episode drops, you'll be getting the episode hopefully before the next episode comes out. But like I said, I'm getting back into the swing of producing and getting back on behind the microphone. So I'm playing catch up right now. So just bear with me these first few weeks. But then everything will be more on a timely basis, and going forward with all the new, because we're about to have a slew of shows coming right after one another. We already know following when this show ends, shortly thereafter, in March, we're going to have, I think around the 15th or so of March, we're going to have Falcon and the Winter Soldier. So I will be doing these episodes going forward weekly for each Disney Plus Marvel show, and for Star Wars shows. I'm going to get to that later. I know I missed out on Mandalorian season 2. I'll fix it. Don't worry about it. Give me a minute. But that's all I have for you guys this week. I miss you guys a bunch. Like I said, it's going to be a bunch of content dropping on the channel upcoming, so be on the lookout. Love you guys. Thank you for all your support, and I'll talk to you soon. Be safe and take care.